Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Cricket. Today I'm gonna revisit another recipe, and it's for my meatloaf. I'm having it for supper and thought I would just do an update on it. I have an older video in my videos of where it has the measurements and everything. You know, to be quite honest, when I cook, I usually don't measure out stuff, but I'm just going to show you how I just kind of throw it together. But the other video will have the measurements and stuff in it. So what I have is just a little bit over a pound of ground beef, and I'm using a square baking dish that I've lined with foil and sprayed a little bit with some non-stick spray just to make it come out just a little bit better. And so I'm gonna real quick show how I chop my bell pepper and onion. Normally for meatloaf I just throw it in the food processor, but yesterday I uploaded my corn salad recipe, and a viewer, her name is Judy, wanted to show how I cut up my bell pepper and onion so fine. So let me do that, and then we'll get back to throwing everything together. Alright, for my green pepper, remember I used half of it in the corn recipe, and I put it in a baggie and put it in the refrigerator. So this is how I chopped it up so fine. Get off some more of that white right there. I hope you can see this good. But I just cut real thin strips. Let me get my other knife. And then I just kind of gather it up. Try to turn so you can see. And then just chop it real fine. Just go this way. But just cut it up in julienne strips and then just slice down. Gather them up, slice it down. I'm sure you'll be much more careful than I am. My hands don't seem to be working right today. Now if I was making my corn salad, I would just chop this up. I wouldn't throw my other vegetables in the food processor because it'd make it too mushy. But for meatloaf and stuff, it's fine. For my onion, I peel it, take the skin off, and then I just cut it in half and lay it down. And then right here I make a couple of cuts, go across, don't come all the way through though. And then I turn it around and let me switch knives. And then make small slices this way. And then just chop down and make your small slices. And see, that cuts it real fine. Alright, so I got my onion and my bell pepper. I washed my hands. And now I'm just going to start adding to it. And you can make more. So I'm going to add an egg. I'm going to add some minced garlic. I'm going to use all of this out of this jar. I have another jar. This is the favorite way for me to buy garlic. It's already chopped. There's about a teaspoon left in this jar. Maybe a little bit over. Garlic's good for you anyway. Then, of course, I'm adding my Louisiana hot sauce. And most of this is to your taste. And then my Worcestershire sauce that I can't say right. Add just a little bit of salt. Some black pepper. And of course my parsley flakes. There's just a little bit in this jar, so I'm going to probably just use it all. Oop, no, well, it's alright, I love parsley. Little bit of paprika, and you can leave out what you don't like, add what you like. And then I'm going to add some shredded Parmesan cheese, just a little bit, because I'll be topping it with the cheese. And then on the breadcrumbs, normally I just take a couple of pieces of bread and throw that in my food processor. But I also have some plain dry breadcrumbs, so I'm going to add just a little bit of that. Now, if you want to use crackers, crushed up crackers, or like I say, bread, stale bread, that'd be a great time to use it. And then I have a 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. I'm going to add just a little bit in my mixture, and then the rest will go on the top. So now here's the fun part. I'm going to mix this with my hands. These are the best tools for mixing. If you want to wear gloves, that's fine. I don't have any gloves. My hands are clean. So I'm just going to mix this up by hand. So let's just dive right on in. This is really the best way to mix up a meatloaf and get everything incorporated. And really, it's just add what you like. This is the way that my husband and son like it. Me and my daughter are really not that big of meat eaters. I really don't care that much for ground beef. I love pork. But, anyway. Just make sure you mix this up real well. Make sure everything gets incorporated and your egg gets mixed up. And I'm making this ahead. It's actually early afternoon, so I'm just going to get this made ahead, cover it, and keep it in the refrigerator till this evening when I get ready to bake it. Saves a lot of time that way. And then I can kind of clean the dishes as I go. Okay, it looks like everything's coming together. Everything's wanting to hold together, so now I'm going to add it to my baking dish. If you have a loaf pan, you can add it to your loaf pan. I just like to add it this way. Gonna kind of form it a little bit. Sometimes I'll put half of the mixture in and then add a layer of mozzarella cheese and then put the rest of the meat on top, and it's real good that way too. So, make some little divots in it, kind of make a barrier for my tomato sauce. And now I'm just going to top it with my tomato sauce. And just kind of spread it almost to the edge. Now if I was making a bigger meatloaf, I would have to use either a large can of tomato sauce or get 2 small cans. But before I touch anything else, before I touch the cheese or anything, and because my hands has been in raw meat, I'm going to go stop and go wash my hands real good with some warm salty water and clean out from under my fingernails and all real good before I touch anything else. So I'll be back. Alrighty, now with my Parmesan cheese, and a lot of times I use just the container of the powdery like Parmesan cheese, but now just top it with your cheese. And I find that Parmesan is the best to use on the top of it. It's the way I've been making it for years. Pretty much, when I got married, I had to learn how to cook everything. I've always enjoyed cooking, But, you know, we didn't have internet or nothing like that. So pretty much, I just taught myself. But, just experiment and everything. But anyway, so I'm going to cover this with some foil, and then I'm going to stick it in my refrigerator. And then this evening, when I get ready to cook it, I'll be back and tell you what to preheat your oven to and for how long we're going to cook this. So see, I've made this ahead of time. Going to stick it in the refrigerator. Now I'm going to wash up and start loading the dishwasher. And then in just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and make my biscuits, stick them in the refrigerator. I peel my potatoes for the mashed potatoes, cover and let them set in cold water. I like to do that with my potatoes anyway, because that soaks out most of the starch, you know, and starch turns to sugar. So I've always heard that if you soak your potatoes, you know, it helps to get a lot of that starch that turns to sugar out of them. So anyway, let me quit babbling, get this covered and put it in the refrigerator, and then I'll be back. Alright, I took my meatloaf out of the refrigerator because this is a glass baking dish, and I've let it set out for about 15 minutes before I put it in the oven. But I have my oven excuse me, I have my oven preheated to 375 degrees to start it out with, and then after about 20 minutes I'll turn it up to 400. But this should probably take about 45 minutes to 55 minutes to bake anyway. So I'm going to start out at 375, and after about 20-30 minutes I'll turn it up to 400. Here is my meatloaf. It cooked for 45 minutes, and look at the top. Got that nice cheese and tomato crust on it. And I'm going to take it out of this pan and put it on a serving plate, and then when it cools a little bit, I will slice into it and show you the inside of it. But I did, at about 20 minutes into cooking, I turned it up from 375 to 400. So anyway, let me take this out and let that cool for a bit. Alright, here's the meatloaf. Been cut into. And this is my husband's plate. This isn't my plate because mine looks like it's enough to just feed a bird because I'm not feeling well. So tonight is Wednesday, and this is what we had for dinner. We had homemade buttermilk biscuits, meatloaf, mashed potatoes, tomato slices, green beans, and him and my son ate the rest of the corn salad.